Hi, I'm Mary Baca with Remotely Unique and coming to you from Albuquerque, New Mexico with my special guest today, guests Debbie Jeppesen and Mercedes the horse. And I'm going to tell you more about them. But I wanted to mention first that this is an equine series leading up to an event that I'm hosting Friday, March 6th here in Albuquerque. It's a film screening of the documentary Rescued Hearts. And I tell you, I went to Sedona in June of 2025 and I saw that documentary for myself and I came back so motivated and inspired. I just had to bring the filmmakers here in the film. It's so inspiring and positive. It affects you positively in so many ways. I mean, I had to come hit the ground running and start doing this work myself. I have been a psychotherapist for 35 years. I have several businesses here in Albuquerque and I am a certified equine assisted psychotherapist and equine assisted coach. And this work for me, partnering with these horses that I'm meeting and their owners, has just been life changing for me. So, but those of you that watch the podcast, come to the event March 6th. I'm doing a silent auction that'll start about 4:30. The film will start at 6 o'clock with a Q&A from the filmmakers after that. So it's going to be a great time. So really try to make it. And without further ado, and that is a perfect shot of Mercedes. Let me tell you just the initial part of Mercedes and her owner, Debbie Jeppesen. I'm so grateful for Facebook when I think about experiences like this. I had a gal who's a friend of mine. She's my admin assistant. She is also my equine specialist, Laura Schultz. She sends me all kinds of horse stuff, right? Like pictures and all kinds of things. Well, she sent me this piece of art that Debbie had done. You'll see it later. My producer will be integrating that into the final cut of this show. Anyways, it was of Mercedes Eye, and it was some beautiful artwork that Debbie did. And so I had been waiting and searching for the logo for the Love of Equine, which is a nonprofit I have started. And I had been searching for the logo the picture that was just gonna hit me, just really touch my soul. And immediately when I saw that picture of Mercedes Eye, the artwork that Debbie did, I was so moved. I reached out to her immediately through Facebook, introduced myself, and asked her, because that's the right thing to do, asked her if I could use her artwork for the logo. We started exchanging back and forth. She was excited. I was excited. I think we were both in tears on each end of the phone, right? And now Debbie doesn't know this, but Mercedes and the story of what I just said is on the website. I'm working on the website. I'll have it done by the event, but her story is on there, paying lots of honor to her and you for, for the logo really and so much more. So, but anyways, Debbie, you want to introduce yourself and just whatever you want to say about who you are. We were talking before we got on camera, all the beautiful horses she has. Mercedes is one of them. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. So as probably most girls do, grow up with a love for horses. Never got to have one, never had room, never had property. Just parents, were both teachers, and so we moved every few years, a little bigger school, a little bigger school. And I was 20 when I got my first horse. I worked in a nursing home for $3.45 an hour all summer, and bought my first horse for $1,600. Uh, it was a great start. He probably wasn't the best horse to start with. He was kind of green broke and young, but we learned together and neither one of us got hurt and we did okay. And from there, my interest just grew. And I've had horses for the most part since then. I generally had quarter horses, showed quarter horses for a little while, and hello, honey. She's blowing in my ear. And then I had a little pause when I had a child. And during that time, I ended up with an off the track thoroughbred that was a great horse when he was having a good day. You just never knew. And ultimately, he ended up bucking me off one day,
Uh-huh.
and I ended up with multiple fractures. Um, but the biggest one was I fractured my pelvis, so it was a long time before I could ride again, and my confidence was really shaken. And I thought that that was probably my end with horses. That it's just, I had too many other things going, and I couldn't give it the attention that it needed, or that I needed. And I had a good friend that said, you should try Tennessee Walk horse. They're supposed to be really smooth. This guy doesn't really know anything. Did I contacted a breeder who lived not too far from me, and he invited me to come out and ride, which I did, and it was amazing. It was a wonderful ride. It was smooth. I got off, nothing ached. My knees didn't hurt. My hips didn't hurt. So that's how I got my first Tennessee Walkers, and that was
What
in
makes it that
2000.
way? Like, what about being on a
It's
Tennessee Walker makes it that kind of ride?
They're a gaited breed, so they move a little differently. Their muscles are smooth and long, and they always have, when they're walking, 3 feet on the ground. So they're very, very smooth and very sure-footed that way, as opposed to, and I'm not criticizing quarter horses in any way because I had them also, but quarter horses are built for the most part for speed. They were developed for bursts of speed and racing, so their muscles are a little tighter, more, I don't know what you'd say, bunched up, I guess, not the long, smooth muscles. So just the stride and the way they walk, the way they place their feet. So
So
it's
you
called
feel
a,
it differently, it sounds
oh,
like. You
absolutely.
feel it in your
Absolutely.
body.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Yeah. So that's how I got started with them. And in the process of trying to learn more about him, hi, sweetheart, I ended up meeting a woman from Idaho named Nia Bates, who we hit it off instantly. She became a very good friend. And I went back and forth to Idaho. I was in Great Falls, Montana at the time. Got lots of advice, learned tons from her. And sadly, Naya was diagnosed with a very rare bladder cancer, which eventually did claim her life. But one of her um, one of her bucket list items, well, she had several, and she made most of them. Was to get a muscle car. And she'd always wanted a muscle car, and her husband wanted a big diesel dually truck. And so they went round and round all the time. But, I think Naya could tell that her time was getting near, and she went and bought a Dodge Charger, and it was the most beautiful metallic midnight blue. It was the most beautiful car I think I've ever seen. But anyway, she gave us a ride, gave me a ride in it. It was her pride and joy. But along those lines, Naya also had a stallion, Mercedes sire. Mercedes looks very much like him, that she was concerned about finding an appropriate home for. And she asked me if I would take him. Um, so
What's
I
his
did. I
name?
bought, his name was Cruise with the Limo, and we
Okay.
just called him Limo. So I bought him from her, and he was an amazing horse. He was very intimidating, big. Um, Horses are measured in hands because way back when, in thousands of years ago, the width of the king's hand was 4 inches. And so that's how horses are measured in hands. So standard horse is probably about 15 hands, which is 5 feet tall at the withers, 60 inches. Mercedes is 17.2, which makes her exceedingly tall and a little unusual for the breed, but I like that. And her sire Limo was the same way. So anyway, I ended up with Limo, and Naya did pass, and I had reserved a name. I at that time was breeding, obviously, because I had her stallion and I had some mares, and I wanted to name a horse in honor of her and her muscle car, Smoking Hot Hellcat. And so it Mercedes had a foal who was a blue roan, not exactly the midnight blue that her car was, but and so I named her that colt Smoking Hot Hellcat, and called him Rev. So now to backtrack a little bit, Mercedes came to me from a breeder on the other side, eastern part of Montana. They brought 3 mares over to breed to Limo. Limo was a heritage stallion, which means he didn't have any of the modern bloodlines. People might see the Tennessee Walkers that show and they have the big high stepping fancy gait and whatnot. That's called Big Lick, and the heritage horses don't have that kind of pedigree. They're the more old-fashioned, bigger boned, heavier bodied, and they do a nice walk, but not that fancy show gait. So um, these people were heritage breeders, and I had Limo now, so they brought over 3 mares. And as luck would fate, luck, however you want to call it, I guess, destiny, would have it, of those 3 mares, Mercedes was the only foal to survive. One mare
Wow.
didn't make it. The one colt didn't make it, and Mercedes was the only surviving foal of those 3 breedings. So, of course, I tried to buy her from the time she was born, and they weren't willing to sell her, which understandably so. Um, I guess it was probably around, Mercedes was probably close to 2 years old, and I reaped the benefits of somebody else's hardship. But drought in eastern Montana can be pretty significant, and sometimes it creates, you have to make a choice. How many animals can I feed? Who can I feed? And whatnot. So they opted to let Mercedes go and contacted me to see if I knew anybody who'd be interested in her because I owned her dad. And of course, I was interested in her. So I got Mercedes at that time.
How old was she?
Pardon me?
How old was she when you got her?
She was 2. Yeah. So from there, Mercedes went to a trainer as a 3-year-old. We did some riding then. As a 4-year-old, she was my trail horse. She does a pretty darn good job, and I bred her and to a stallion that I owned at the time, and ultimately she ended up with this foal, Rev. So Rev was born what we call a dummy foal. He, as the foals pass through the birth canal, there's a certain amount of pressure applied to them, and that pressure turns on neurotransmitters. And those neurotransmitters are what signal the foal to wake up. They're kind of thinking this might be somewhat related to autism in humans, kind of the same type of process. But anyway, he was awake, but he could not stand. Tried for several hours to get him to stand. There's a window when a foal is born that they need to have the colostrum from the mare before the membranes in their gut close up, and then they can't exchange that anymore. So we were getting real close to that window, and I was getting real worried. So I got my mom up. I think it was about midnight, maybe 1 o'clock in the morning, and we put him on a big blanket and drug him into the horse trailer and off to the vet I went, which is about a 2-hour drive for me to the veterinary hospital. And Mercedes and Rev were treated there. They stayed for 8 days. I think it was about the second day he was finally able to stand. He was active nursing. I mean, he loved, would take from the bottle and everything, and they were able to milk her. So he did get colostrum, but he just did better and better and better. But she would stand there when he was lying down and stare at him lying on the shavings in the stall. And the look in her eye is just, I mean, it defines mother's love. You could just, and the vets commented on it, all the vet techs commented on it. Everybody loved this mare. And when Rev finally got to come home, on the bag of medicines and whatnot, there was little hearts drawn all over it, and Rev and Mercedes, and every time we'd go back, even if I was back there with a different horse, everybody's, "How's Rev? How's Mercedes?" Um, the vet who took care of Rev was interested in owning him. And of course, I was kind of like the people that had Mercedes. It's like, well, he's really not for sale. I had big plans. So, and from there, when Rev was 7 months old, I'm not, we don't really know what happened, but he passed at the same hospital there where he went shortly after birth. He was pretty sick by the time we got there. We weren't able to save him. His pretty much shut down. So he was humanely euthanized, and Mercedes mourned. I think even though he had been weaned, they were across the field from each other. They could still see each other, and he knew she was there. She knew that he was there. And I think when he was gone, she was sad for a little while. But last year, she was my trail horse again. We spent I ride
So
all over.
when was that Rev passed?
Let's see, that would have been 2 years ago now in November. Yeah. So last year I bred her again to a stallion that I have here. So she's due in foal. It'll be another blue roan. She's due May 8th, actually, and she's doing real well with this pregnancy. So hopefully this one works out for her. But last year in September, a gal and I go up to the Tetons, or go down to the Tetons, I should say. And it's just one of our favorite places to ride. And Mercedes was my horse to go last year. And well, it's real rocky there to ride. So the farrier was here early part of September, September 2nd, I think, to put shoes, and then we put leather pads under the shoes to help protect the soles of their feet. And so he was here putting those shoes on, and we had a lot of fires here last year. It was very, very dry, and it was early in the morning, and the sun was coming up, and the sky was very smoky, kind of that orangish yellow kind of color. And I'm holding Mercedes, and the farrier's working, and I took that picture of her eye. Didn't think too much of it, just kind of let it be. And then this winter, and I always do a little Photoshop editing with all my pictures, kind of define them a little bit or refine them, however, sharpen them up, maybe crop a little this or that. This winter, I just got to messing around, and I'm not a huge fan of AI, but I do think it has a place. And I grabbed that picture and worked with AI, and we did lots of tweaking. It took quite a while to end up with the one that I posted that you then found, Mary. So that's kind of how that picture came to be, and kind of Mercedes' story.
It's so beautiful. And I'm going to take a picture of the event, how I set the table up, because it's like her eye, just sets kind of the theme for everything. Like I bought, a tablecloth. I bought an orange one and two
Oh,
purple
wow.
ones and
Yes,
purple
yes,
velvet for the items for the silent auction. And so her eye just kind of sets a tone for everything.
yeah,
You gave me the idea about a puzzle, so I had one of those made for a fundraiser, and t-shirts and one hat. I didn't order a ton of t-shirts because you know how that goes. I've ordered a ton of
right,
t-shirts before for things and then they don't sell. So I'd
right.
rather just take orders and. But I haven't forgotten, you said you wanted a bigger canvas, right?
I would love one. Yeah.
So I haven't forgotten. I've just been so busy with this event,
Oh, yeah,
as you can
yeah,
imagine, but I have not
yeah.
forgotten. So I will definitely check into that and see what different sizes. And what I'll probably do is wherever I order it from, I'll pay for it and then I'll just have them ship it to you directly. That
Yeah,
way,
sure.
you know, it doesn't get damaged
Hmm.
in transit.
Yeah.
She's just so sweet. She's so expressive. Look at her moving her mouth
Yeah.
around.
She's a very, a huge hearted horse. She's big herself, but her heart matches her size. And,
Aww.
that picture of her eye is just, even though it has mountains and lake and whatnot in it, but you can still see the depth. And
Yeah.
that's her. That is so her.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
gonna put on the website. I'm not very tech savvy, so it's taking me a bit to do the website, right? But I'm gonna put her eye, the picture you sent me that was nothing was done to it. And
Oh
then the
yeah.
artwork, I'm gonna put those two on the same page so that people
Mhm.
can see and just kind of see. Um, I don't have her story, but I probably will add that. I didn't have it
Mhm.
handy in front of me. You and I exchanged so many things that I'm like, okay, where's this piece of, stuff that she sent me? So maybe I'll get with
Sure.
you to see if you can send it to me again, like just in writing, so that I can literally
Sure.
copy and paste it. You asked me when I first asked you if I could use that artwork as our logo. You said yes, if you would just pay her tribute. And I'm going to do better.
Mhm.
Like I have her on the website. I want to have her story. Knowing her story, she's got quite a story. I can
She
tell
does for a
people.
young mare. Yeah.
Yeah. And so how old is she?
She's 7 this year.
Oh, she's a young,
Mhm.
I'm still
Mhm.
learning. I relate to it. You said I always wanted a horse when I was young, always, and my parents could not afford a horse. And so
Yeah.
here I am,
Yeah.
in later years, like I don't have I will have a horse. Probably, I say probably a couple, but at least I get to be around them every week. I go to horse rescue and spend time with horses. I work on horses. I do energy work on horses and therapy. I'm working with a red roan quarter horse right now. Her herd mate passed away about a month and a
Oh.
half ago. So I'm doing some energy work and emotional work with that horse, and then with
Mhm.
of course, the owner. Because you guys are so connected to your horses, right? They're so
Mhm.
connected to you, and so the horses feel. Look at her! Oh my gosh! The horses feel everything, that their human feels, and that when I do equine assisted psychotherapy, they're just so in tune intuitively. Like
Mhm.
they know what's going on.
Oh yeah, they can read you from you walk out, step out the door of the house and they see you coming. They know exactly if you're stressed, if you're not stressed, what you got going on, if they're so perceptive and intuitive. They're just amazing,
Pretty
incredible
incredible.
animals.
Tell
Hmm.
us what kind of nursing you do. I was telling you before we started recording, you're the fourth nurse I've interviewed
Oh,
for the show, which is so I'm like, wow, well, probably because you all are healers, and so you extend that to horses. But yeah, what kind of nursing
yeah.
do you and have you practiced?
So I'm gonna just take her halter off here real quick. Sorry.
Ah, no,
And
no
just
problem.
let her go. Okay. Um I'm on my 41st year as a nurse this year, 49th year in healthcare. I've done a lot of different things. Emergency room is probably my favorite. I've worked oncology, which is very, very special. But right now I am a ICU nurse at the VA hospital in Spokane.
Okay. So you have a big heart like Mercedes. You would have to.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, I don't
you have to.
know.
Yeah,
Some
I
days
do
probably
in my
bigger than others, but
Well, yeah. But in my career, I've worked a lot and still do work a lot with medical professionals and nurses and first responders, and we see a lot of veterans too. I have one of the businesses I have is a counseling agency, and I have 6 counselors that work for me and are part of my team. And this has been the newest, they kind of follow my ventures, right? And so this is the new thing, and I plan to help counselors, direct them to get trained in equine assisted therapy and
Mhm.
introduce them to it and really communicate to them how powerful it is and why, and maybe help them experience that. And so, yeah, it's amazing. I wanted to ask you, so one of the things with For the Love of Equine and my coaching business, I have what's called an equine collaborative. And it's just a place to introduce people that I've connected with, that have horses. Sometimes people are just looking for resources. Is that something you would like to be
Mm-hmm.
a part of?
Sure.
I
Sure.
would love to have
Yeah,
you. Yeah, and
absolutely.
I'll send you a sample of the page, you know, it would just give kind of a description of who you are, like you've already provided me, and then some
Mm-hmm.
pictures that you want to post. And that way, if anybody, you know, it's just a resource really for people that want to connect with horse people or just start in the learning phase. Like I'm still learning. I'll be learning for years, you know, in this area.
We're all still learning. And
Yeah,
when
that's
you
true.
quit learning, you become dangerous. You know,
Yeah,
that's what we
that's
always say.
true.
Then it's like you have to keep learning. Don't ever
Well, I
think you
feel
know it
like
all.
that, you know, being a therapist for 35 years, I still learn things every day. And I'm
Absolutely.
happy about that, right? It would be boring and
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably burn
Mm-hmm.
out, you know, if it weren't for
Mm-hmm.
that. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What else
Absolutely.
would you maybe want people to know that watch this about horses or the power of the horse human connection? Anything you want to
I
share?
think, if anybody ever has an opportunity, you don't have to own a horse to just be around them. They are so healing. You don't have to ride them. Just walk out in a field and stand with them or sit with them. They'll come to you. They they're peaceful animals. They seek peace. They respond, to peaceful people. They
They
know
do.
that if you're going to be putting pressure on them and whatnot, of course, that's how we train. We train by applying pressure and doing it consistently. But they really seek peace, and that's what they want, peace and harmony. That's
I know. They are amazing, truly. You know, I think that
yes.
when I was 3 years old to whatever age, all my life I've wanted a horse. That
Mm-hmm.
inner me knew something that, you know, I didn't consciously know at the time, you know, but
Right.
it's just been amazing to get together with them. And I do
Mm-hmm.
groundwork. I don't do therapeutic riding. That's not my training or what I'm drawn to. I think that has its power in its own for sure. But you
Absolutely.
know, so I have one more thing to close. What is your why? What is
What
your
is
why?
my why?
Yeah, and what you do with
Why I do?
horses. Yeah, in having 13 is quite a herd. 39 or
Well, I think,
37 was huge.
yeah, that was quite a few. I think my why is it's my peace. So I love taking care of the horses. I don't get to ride every day. Days I work 12-hour shifts. That's 7 out of 14 days. So I don't have time to ride every day, but I spend some time with my horses every day. And it's the thing that I do for me.
Yes.
It's yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Well,
my piece is at the barn.
it resets your
Yeah.
nervous system. Even when I go and I
Mhm.
do a session, I am so relaxed after. I can't do a regular counseling session and
Mhm.
be relaxed. But boy, any
Mhm.
sessions with these horses, you know, partnering with these horses, very relaxing. So that probably
It's the
helps you
best cure for a headache.
decompress. Yeah, it helps you
Absolutely.
decompress,
Mhm.
right? Because your job is
Mhm.
stressful, super stressful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, they're
thank you
just
for everything. I mean, maybe one of these days when I'm in your area, I'll come and visit and meet Mercedes in person. And yeah,
well, maybe if you got something going on, maybe we can make it down there and bring her along with us sometime too.
oh, that would be wonderful for sure.
Mhm. Mhm.
Well, let's keep in
Absolutely.
touch.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Okay. I'll talk to you soon about the canvas and more, probably.
Okay. Sounds
Okay.
wonderful.
Take care.
Good
Bye,
afternoon.
Mercedes. Did she take off?
Uh,
Did Mercedes
she's
take off?
right over here.
She did. Bye, Mercedes. Thank you so much,
She's eating some green
dear.
grass. I don't know if you can see her.
I can. She's like, num, 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 num. This is too good. Well,
Yeah,
thanks,
yeah.
Debbie. You have a
It's
wonderful
just turning
afternoon.
green, so yeah. Okay.
Take care.
All right, you too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.